Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 2020 Chancellor's Excellence in Postdoctoral Scholar Mentoring and the Chancellor's Outstanding Postdoctoral Scholar Awards. Thank you for joining us for this online event. If you require closed captioning, please select it in the Zoom menu, or there are also additional instructions in the chat window. Please keep your chat window open during the ceremony so you can add your congratulations to the finalists and awardees. I'm Mark Lawson. I'm a professor of obstetrics, gynecology, and reproductive sciences in the School of Medicine, and I'm also faculty director for postdoctoral and research scholar training and education. My role in the OPRSA office is to support their work with campus and institutional partners to improve upon the resources available to postdocs and promote their training and career advancement. This includes promoting new training programs to support research and training activities, as well as to support postdocs in pursuing their long-term career goals. With nearly 1,300 postdocs on campus, UC San Diego is one of the largest population of advanced scholars in the UC system, perhaps even nationally, and these scholars contribute significantly to the outstanding research accomplishments of the campus. To support your goals as postdocs and to provide meaningful training and career preparation, we provide extensive training programs that support your professional growth. Our programs like EPIC are focused on professional development for you at every stage of your postdoctoral training, from our boot camp for new postdocs to other courses that support your long-term career goals. Please check out our programming at the website at postdoc.ucsd.edu to find out more about these offerings. It's changing as we refine our programs, and we value your participation and input. Even in the time of COVID, restrictions that are imposed upon us and the extraordinary difficulty we face in continuing our mission in research and training, the office is still working to provide you with the best training possible and to promote the postdoctoral community on campus. And for my part, as a graduate student and postdoc, I was thrilled with the adventure of discovery. No matter how incremental, when I was able to execute a well-designed experiment and get an answer to some question I was asking, I had an incredible joy in knowing that I contributed, even in some small way, to the sum of human knowledge and experience. There's something really very special in knowing that you're the first person in human history to understand some puzzling aspect of nature. And now as a professor running a lab and dealing with the breadth of both the mundane and the exciting aspects of research, I find myself equally excited about my students and trainees sharing their discoveries with me. Sharing in their excitement and joy is really something special. So as a mentor, being the second person to know something about nature is equally exciting, and also has the added joy of knowing that you've helped someone else share in that experience. And that's what we are honoring today. Postdocs who share their experience and enthusiasm and push the boundaries of knowledge with excitement and take others along in their adventure through their mentorship and through participation in research teams. We also honor those mentors who, through their own enthusiasm and dedication, promote the aspirations of their trainees and share in that excitement for discovery. So with this event, we recognize that your work is essential to the campus community. Your dedication inspires others, your research challenges our understanding of the world, and it adds to it. And so again, let me say thank you. We're glad you're here. We're grateful for your long hours of work and your dedication and your creativity. And we recognize with gratitude the support of those around you, including family, friends, and loved ones. A research career can be a challenging path, and we are grateful that we can be a part of your journey. So today's program, we'll hear from two speakers who will both reflect on your roles as mentors and postdocs. Our Vice Chancellor for Research, Sandra Brown, will speak on behalf of the campus in recognizing and celebrating your achievements. After she speaks, we'll hear from a distinguished speaker, Dr. Jabbar Bennett, the inaugural, though now former Associate Provost for Diversity and Inclusion at Northwestern University, who will speak on the role of mentoring in creating equal opportunity and supporting diversity in academia. So first, I'd like to turn to Vice Chancellor Brown. Vice Chancellor Brown oversees the tremendous research effort at UC San Diego and has led us to become one of the nation's leading R1 university and a world leader in innovating and cutting-edge research across all disciplines. She has oversight of many aspects of research and administration, and her office supports cross-campus and institutional collaborations that engage both the academia and the community. The Office of Postdoctoral and Research Scholar Affairs is within her portfolio, and she's been a strong supporter of expanding postdoctoral training and the opportunities for professional development, thus the Office of Postdoctoral and Research Scholar Affairs. I welcome her to this celebration, and I've invited her to speak to us now.
Thank you, Dr. Lawson. It is such a pleasure to be here, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our annual Chancellor's Excellence in Postdoctoral Scholar Mentoring and Outstanding Postdoctoral Scholar Awards ceremony. I'm Sandra Brown, as Dr. Lawson said, the Vice Chancellor for Research here, and it is such a distinct pleasure to be with you and honor these two groups who continue to earn my admiration and my respect year after year, our extraordinary postdoctoral scholars and dedicated mentors. The international reputation for the breadth and the depth of our research enterprise is due in no small part to those of you that we are celebrating today. And speaking for the Chancellor, our entire faculty at UCSD and all of the members of our research community, I want to personally thank you for your work, your ongoing contributions to the sum of human knowledge, and for the creativity that you have shown in this remarkably unprecedented year of COVID-19. In arts, humanities, social sciences, life sciences, math, engineering, physical sciences, in every avenue of exploration, the postdoctoral scholars are at the vanguard. Your work adds incalculable value to the university's laboratories and the classrooms, and your insights and discoveries are changing the world. Since the beginning of the pandemic, UC San Diego has been at the forefront of the response to the crisis. And our postdoctoral scholars have played a very important role in this and made major contributions. I would like to recognize all of today's nominees. The number and the caliber of the nominations this year shows the central importance and broad impact of our scholars to the university research enterprise. And your contributions demonstrate the balance of research excellence and community engagement that is integral in our campus's mission as a place of learning and social engagement. So let me thank you. We're glad that you're here, and we're grateful for your creative and innovative efforts in advancing the understanding of the world and the challenges that we face. And to help mark this appreciation, Chancellor Khosla, who could not be here today, sent a few remarks to me that I'd like to read to you now. He says, "The greatest strength of any university is its people, and we have the best at UC San Diego, especially our postdoctoral scholars. You're invaluable members of the research community, contributing to the advancement of knowledge, spurring new discoveries that benefit not just our campus, our community, but our entire society. We're committed to supporting you and your goals, and we appreciate all that you contribute to the research enterprise. And we want to do what we can to ensure your success." At UC San Diego, the importance of our postdoctoral scholars' contributions and the esteemed faculty mentors of those scholars cannot be overstated. He sends his sincerest congratulations to the award finalist for excellence in postdoctoral scholar mentoring and outstanding postdoctoral scholar. These finalists strive beyond extraordinary caliber of research and academic excellence that has made UC San Diego one of the best universities in the world. I second all of those comments and the admiration that he has and is sharing with you today. I would also like to, before we begin the award ceremony, to acknowledge a few members of the Office of Postdoctoral and Visiting Scholar Affairs. Jenna O. Baroque, Heather Dillon, Jenny Salmon, Corey Davis, they all work tirelessly to ensure that all of you have what you need to excel in your research. Working very closely with the team is our Faculty Director of Postdoctoral Scholar Education and Training, whom you just heard from, Dr. Mark Lawson. So together, they've been working diligently and creatively to increase the number of opportunities and the resources that are available to postdoctoral scholars. In particular, I want to recognize their efforts in maintaining career and professional development training during this period of crisis and continuing to serve the postdoctoral population in ways that put the campus at the forefront of postdoctoral training in the United States. Congratulations to you all, and my best wishes. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you for making the time to join us today and for sharing the words from the Chancellor. And as a community of postdocs and even faculty mentors, we really appreciate and want to express publicly our thanks for the strong support that your office has for the training and advancement of postdocs on this campus. It really, it is nation leading and it's at many aspects. And the work is recognized widely, and we're very thankful that this is a big part of your portfolio and important to you. So, and also thank you for making the time. And now I'd like to turn to our guest speaker, Dr. Jabbar Bennett. Our guest speaker, Dr. Jabbar Bennett, is the inaugural, though he has now stepped down over the summer, the inaugural Associate Provost for Diversity and Inclusion at Northwestern University. Notably, at Northwestern University, he managed the implementation of the 2016 Black Experience Task Force report and helped facilitate efforts to encourage and increase success of first-generation low-income and marginalized students through the Undergraduate Students Life Cycle Planning Committee at Northwestern. He's a strong supporter of marginalized communities and sponsored the drafting of recommendations at the Genderqueer, Non-Binary, and Transgender Support Task Force. In addition, he was the inaugural Chief Diversity Officer at Northwestern, and he has also served as Associate Professor of Medicine in the Feinberg School of Medicine. He was responsible there for creating a diverse and inclusive and welcoming environment for all community members at Northwestern. Prior to that experience, he served as Associate Dean of the Graduate School and Associate Dean for Diversity in the Division of Biology and Medicine. And he served as a clinical professor of medicine at the Warren Alpert Medical School of Brown University. Dr. Bennett earned his BS in biology and a minor in Spanish from North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, and he earned his PhD in biomedical sciences from Meharry Medical College. He was a UNCF Merck Postdoctoral Research Fellow in the Department of Pathology at Harvard Medical School before proceeding on to his academic career in the professoriate. So with that, please join me in welcoming Dr. Bennett and hearing his words to share with us today.
Mark, thank you so much for the introduction, and also Vice Chancellor Brown for being here with us today. I am going to talk to you all today about advancing diversity, equity, inclusion, and specifically focus on the role of mentoring. There'll be some other things woven in, but I do want to emphasize the importance of mentoring, and you'll hear that throughout. But before I get started, I, of course, have to say, as we've already heard, congratulations to all Excellence in Postdoctoral Scholar Mentoring and Outstanding Postdoctoral Scholar Award finalists. It's truly wonderful to be recognized for the work that you do, the service that you give, and especially at the level of the Chancellor. When I was invited to give this talk, I was thinking, well, let me learn a little bit more about these awards so that my remarks can hopefully be relevant to those of you who are here today and to the recipients and the finalists. So I wanted to understand a bit about the awards and the attributes of the recipients. So looking at the Excellence in Postdoctoral Scholar Mentoring Award, I learned that these individuals are expected to be effective advisors, advocates, role models, and colleagues, provide intellectual leadership and model excellence, to demonstrate leadership in supporting and fostering diversity, equity, and inclusion, creating a supportive environment for research and scholarship, ensuring that the postdoctoral scholar is trained in the skills and knowledge necessary, and provide opportunities to network with colleagues. And for outstanding postdoctoral scholar recipients and finalists, you're expected to conduct exceptional research, exhibit leadership, mentorship, and service, excel in research by displaying intellectual merit, ethical conduct, professional behavior, and the ability to demonstrate research, innovation, and productivity. You all also assume leadership roles, have a strong record of service, and support and foster diversity, equity, and inclusion. So in looking across all these criteria for both awards, I saw a few common themes. Leadership popped out to me, as well as diversity, equity, inclusion, and finally, excellence. So what I'm going to do over the next several minutes is talk about a few things. I want to explore the role of mentoring in your evolution and leadership development. And I'll talk a little bit about my own leadership journey and what I believe motivates people to be good leaders. I'll discuss the benefits of and challenges to advancing diversity, equity, inclusion, and finally share some best practices which promote inclusive excellence and support your success. We'll talk a bit about choosing your mentor carefully, recognizing and leveraging your own power as a leader, and finally, and what I think is extremely important, taking care of yourself. So I don't want to make any assumptions about what we know or believe regarding sort of the main topics that I'll be speaking of, especially as not everyone who's in the audience may be a finalist. So I'll be talking about diversity, which you can think about broadly as difference. Diversity obviously also is often considered to be a quantitative measure. I'll be talking about equity or fairness, justice or freedom from bias or favoritism. Equity, again, is really important in everything we do. I'll be talking about inclusion, which is an act or practice of including and accommodating people, especially those who've been historically excluded based on factors that you can see in front of you. And then inclusive excellence, which is an active and intentional and ongoing engagement with diversity in various ways, and in ways that we hope will increase personal and social awareness, as well as content knowledge, cognitive sophistication, and empathetic understanding of one another. So let's get into the role of mentoring in your evolution in leadership development. I'm always intrigued by words and sort of by beginnings and by the genesis of things. So I thought I'd take you back to Greek mythology, which is where we actually get the term mentor from. Some of you may be familiar with Homer's Odyssey and know that Odysseus, who was king at that time, was called off to fight the Trojan War. And the day that he was called off to fight the Trojan War, from what the story says, his son Telemachus had been born. Of course, concerned about his son not having the guidance that he himself, Odysseus, would have given, he depended and called upon his old friend mentor to sort of take care of his son and look after him in his absence. So Telemachus and mentor developed a strong relationship built on the foundations of guidance and support. And the word mentor, as we know it, has become synonymous with teacher, counselor, coach, facilitator, motivator, and friend. And mentors actually can be many other things as well, which I'll talk about too. This is a word cloud which just represents sort of the response that people gave when asked sort of, what do you think about when you hear the word mentor? You'll see things like engaging, friend, encouraging, inspiring, resource, guide, helpful, rewarding, but you'll also see things like spontaneous. And when mentors are spontaneous, that doesn't always benefit the mentee the most. Sometimes mentors can be random. It could be something that they have on their mind, that they think is a wonderful idea that should be pursued and should be prioritized, but I'm not sure if it always fits into your plans for the day. Mentors also might be perfect or may be perceived to be perfect. And with that, there can be a lot of undue influence or stress placed upon mentees. So it's something to consider if you are a mentor, as well as if you are a mentee who may be mentoring others. At times, mentors can give a gentle helping hand, and at times, mentors can help you put things together like the pieces of a puzzle. And even sometimes, mentors can give you a boost, or as the picture shows, a boot, because some of us need that at times as well, especially those of us who are prone to procrastinate. I want to talk about two different concepts related to mentoring. One, mentoring from the outside in, and right after this, I want to talk about mentoring from the inside out. And with this example of mentoring from the outside in, I want to share a bit about the very early beginnings of my own personal leadership journey. So what I'm sharing here is the cover of a book that I still have that my aunt gave me when I was in kindergarten. And in the book, it essentially chronicles my experiences in grade school, kindergarten through 12th grade. I have memories and memorabilia throughout the book, photos and so forth. And just for the sake of this story and to emphasize what sort of mentoring from the outside in looks like, I'm going to share with you sort of a sneak peek into my very earliest sort of beginning, again, thinking about leadership and my development and sort of, again, cultivating the interests and aptitude that I displayed at the time. So this is me in kindergarten. And I know I was a cute kid, and I want to believe I don't look too much different today. But you'll see here that when I was in kindergarten, I went to Cash, was the name of my school. My teacher's name was Mrs. Ruth. The first day of school was Monday, because I didn't know that I should have written the year, the date, and the month at the time. Everything's relative, right? I was 6 years old, 3 feet tall, and weighed 60 pounds. I have given versions of this talk to various audiences over the years, and I worked at Harvard Medical School for a while, trained there, and worked at Brigham and Women's Hospital as well. And I recall giving this presentation and showing this slide to some high school students who were in a summer research program. And as I went through the introduction, going through the page, just as I did with you, a very quick and witty student raised their hand to say, "You were 3 feet tall and weighed 60 pounds. He said, "You were obese." And that may be the case, but again, all things relative. So you can see enclosures are listed here at the bottom. And what you may not be able to make out the top is a little envelope. It's a ridge here at the top where I could insert all my report cards and other things. So I still do have those. This is the back of this same page when I was in kindergarten. My friends were named Bart, Scott, Terry, Anthony, that I spelled with an E, Johnny, Chris W, Chris N, and somebody else. Activities I listed: rabbits, hearts, apples, Santa Clauses, plates, and faces. And for achievements, sack race and broad jump. And for some of you, you remember having these field days where students would compete against each other within grades. And for me, that was a lot of fun. And lastly, what I wrote on this page in this section for awards was sheets of paper, because at that time, that's what awards were to me. Again, being very sort of direct about what I was thinking. At the bottom of this page, there was a whole section about when I grow up, I want to be. And this is what I want to focus on before I move on. When I grow up, what I want to be. These were things that were listed that were prescribed for people based on how you might identify gender-wise. So if you identified as a woman, it was suggested that the things you could aspire to be, beyond kindergarten and when you become an adult, include being a mother, a nurse, a school teacher, an airline hostess, a model, or a secretary. And if you identified as a boy, you could be a fireman, a policeman, which it appears I contemplated for some point in time, a cowboy, an astronaut, a soldier, or a baseball player. But the other part of this that I'll show you now is that for some reason, I wrote in inventor. An inventor or a scientist or one who discovers. My parents both went to college, but neither of them were scientists. But what they did see was my interest in science and exploration. And they knew enough to sort of surround me with things that helped to spur that interest in science and further cultivate that talent. And I was fortunate in this case that I did grow up to become a scientist. And it sort of worked out for me. But that's not always the case. Often when you're being mentored from the outside in, you'll find yourself being exposed to many random possibilities opposed to more targeted opportunities. As I said, it worked out for me in the long run, but it surely could have gone another way. With postdocs now and graduate students who are thinking about careers in academia or even outside of academia, and how they can best utilize their talents and their degrees, you have many people around you to tap into who can provide this information. So I encourage you to seek them out. Mentoring from the inside out looks very different. And I think you need to consider that how you can sort of spend time thinking about what you want to do, who you want to be, and what you want to contribute more intentionally as postdocs moving forward. I think it's really important to identify your purpose. What is that thing you want to do? Maybe it's through the work that you do in the lab, in the classroom, and so forth, that makes you happy, that you probably do pretty well, and you know will have an impact on people. You must understand purpose and vision. Life with purpose is precise and directed. Life without purpose can be depressing. And purpose provides vision, or the ability to see the end from the beginning, and vision sets goals, which motivates a plan of action. It's really important that early on you determine what your goals are, because your goals will dictate your companions, inform your decisions, predict your choices, create priorities, and provide a measure for progress. And when you're doing more mentoring from the inside out, you'll find yourself sort of facing fewer or less heavily weighted random possibilities, but truly benefiting from more targeted opportunities. So purpose plus vision plus goals equals success. And all of these things are individually defined. And it's something that I encourage postdocs to do, especially as it relates to the work that they are doing, that they aspire to do, and the impact they may want to have on science, also within society. There are many benefits and challenges to advancing diversity, equity, inclusion, but all of us can surely play a role. Regarding the benefits and why does diversity matter? Because you need diversity if you want to truly be excellent and achieve excellence in research and in other areas. Diversity breeds creativity as well as spurs additional innovation. It broadens the scope of inquiry if you're doing research related to health, sex or gender related issues. It also considers changing demographics by pulling people into research and the pathway toward research that match with, again, evolving demographics in the country or the nation of the world, but also helps to sort of increase the number of people doing the work who identify with those populations. And when you put all this together, you truly can reach not only a certain level of excellence, but true global research preeminence. The challenges to advancing diversity, equity, inclusion are many and multi-level. They happen at the local level, they happen with senior administrators, and they also happen at the individual level. Locally, it's really hard to concisely articulate, clearly communicate sort of a single idea generally around diversity, equity, inclusion, much less a strategy and action plan. And it's also difficult, but not impossible, to effectively implement, monitor, and assess programs based on action plans and provide outcomes to various constituents across the entire population. With senior administration, people are often frustrated with the lack of acknowledgement around issues of diversity, equity, inclusion. People and institutions are often resistant to change. Policy implementation can be quite challenging to help, again, address barriers that may prevent members of underrepresented groups from moving forward. And there's always a consideration of organizational climate and change management. What will happen if I make this decision? What will happen if I implement this policy? Which may move diversity, equity, inclusion forward, but may not be very popular amongst everyone within the organization or the institution. And individually, there are things we don't know. And we don't always get people to go along with us. We often fear what will happen if we make certain decisions, and then all of us truly have inherent biases. It's really important as we move forward to acknowledge the role of bias in everything that we do, which is a tendency to believe that some people, ideas, etc., are better than others, that usually results in treating some people unfairly. And acknowledging our own biases is the first step toward equity. Here's an example of an entire wall of overwhelming disproof, and right in front of it is a single supporting factor. But you can also see the person in the cartoon saying, "I've got all the evidence I need." Please beware of confirmation bias. You should also be concerned as current postdocs and as faculty, and again, current postdocs who may want to become faculty or who are leaders in many ways, the impact of not advancing diversity, equity, inclusion on members of underrepresented groups. I want to show you some recent headlines that sort of underscore what I'm talking about. Being a Black Ph.D. student following George Floyd's murder, academia forces Black scholars to choose between fully processing our emotions during moments of racial injustice and producing enough research to succeed professionally. The life of a Black academic, tired and terrorized. What has not been acknowledged in the world of terror, enveloping many Black academics, that has changed feeling tired to absolute exhaustion. I was fed up and how the hashtag Black in the Ivory movement got started and what its founders want to see next. And I'll say that this movement got started by a graduate student and a faculty member at one institution, because the challenges that many people face who are members of underrepresented groups, and speaking particularly of Black people in this instance, are often common, despite the position that you hold. So I wanted to share that. A little bit more. Even scientists have realized the bias, for example, in peer review. Criterion scores completely account for racial disparities in overall impact scores, and many others, senior lawmakers, are calling on the national academies to scrutinize racism in science. The Council of Graduate Schools has taken it upon itself to ensure that underrepresented graduate students who are currently enrolled in graduate school have the support they need to complete during COVID, as COVID has also exacerbated many challenges that we face. And this next one applies to all of us, including those on the call. The COVID pandemic has darkened postdocs' work and career hopes. And it's really darkened a lot of our hopes as well, as I understand, and many of you do too, that members of underrepresented and or vulnerable populations don't need an added layer of challenge or barriers before them as they're thinking about progressing and moving forward. And as a former postdoc, I can say that I do believe postdocs are in vulnerable positions in many ways, and we must remain vigilant around how to better support them in their development. The other things I want to mention, and I want to mention this for the faculty who are here, but also postdocs who, again, may be currently mentees, but also mentors, is to acknowledge the multiple national crises and their impact, again, on members of underrepresented groups. Racial injustice and violence, coronavirus, and two topics I didn't go over in the headlines, the economic recession and a divisive US presidential election. In addition, we must remain vigilant regarding ongoing challenges for members of the scientific community. Violence against women and sexual misconduct, violence against sexual and gender minorities, broad issues of access and support for people with disabilities, broad issues of access and support and delivery, rather, of mental health services, discrimination against non-Christian faith groups, and support for international students and scholars, all keenly important. So what are some best practices which will promote inclusive excellence and support your success? I like this image that appeared on a science magazine quite some time ago, and it essentially depicts, many of you may be familiar with the game of life. In the game of life, you go through various stages of development, professional experience, and so forth. And the idea in this game, in any game, is that you roll the die based on the number total that you get, you move that number of spaces, and when you land on a space, you essentially deal with the consequence that's there. For example, you may see here just to the left of the die, fail a test, and you go back 2 spaces. I show this to sort of say that as faculty are thinking about their own careers, maybe it's promotion and or tenure, and as postdocs are thinking about their careers in faculty positions, academia, nonprofits, corporate, and so forth, you're gonna run into challenges along the way. And the best advice that I can give is to expect those challenges and be ready to choose how you will respond. So just like the idea in any game is to roll the die, see where you land, and if you don't land where you want, you don't give up and quit, you roll the die and you go again. Same thing happens in life. Same thing happens in careers. It's also important to employ personal strategies for success. Seek personal and professional career development, participate in networking events, develop social support, understand the power of negotiation, and engage in effective mentor-mentee relationships. Here's some data-driven advice for people who are in graduate school and beyond, so I thought I'd share this as well. It's really important to start planning your future career early. You need to pay attention to your mental health. You should map out your goals, do your very best to find work-life balance, and choose your mentor carefully. I want to say that I'm really pleased actually with the amount of writing and data that exists today regarding mentoring and mentor training. And there's some wonderful work out of the University of Wisconsin-Madison that takes this a step further. Please be aware that there are at least 4 phases of mentoring as identified by these researchers that identify selection, alignment, cultivation, and closure. And selection means mentor selecting a mentee as well as mentor selecting a mentor. There may be some characteristics or attributes about the mentor that you admire that you would like to emulate. And that's always a good reason to think about selecting someone or approaching someone to be your mentor, because it's fine to have a whole circle or village of mentors, not just the one assigned to you in your lab. Alignment is really important, and this is where the mentor and mentee align their own expectations for this mentoring relationship, for this experience. It's important that you are clear about what you want out of the relationship, and the mentor should be as well. Cultivation is the process by which you truly develop and become that person that you say you want to be and you've agreed to be with the help of the mentor. And then closure is also important too. Thinking about what happens as the relationship begins to transition maybe from mentor-mentee to colleague, as some of you may again collaborate with your PIs if you are a postdoc when you move forward. I thought this was nice, so I'll spend a minute talking about it. Consider a mentor's plea. And then the mentor says, "Dear mentee, ask me to explain my expectations. Respect the demands on my time. Don't try to be my friend. Respond to emails promptly and politely. Have an agenda when you meet with me. Actually take my advice. Google it first. Go to the right source for the right question. Go to events I mentioned. Ask for clarification. Please send materials 48 hours in advance. Keep track of your deadlines. Give me what I need to help you. Confirm what you need to do next. Take notes. Don't limit yourself to a single mentor. And please, please, please keep me posted." I want everyone on the call or here with us to recognize and leverage their own position and power as a leader. You may not have the title as an administrative sort of title, but you are a leader. And I want to encourage you that you can lead from anywhere you are in the organization. If you are supervising a graduate student or an undergraduate student or a summer research intern, you have a responsibility to, again, engage in a thoughtful way as a leader. Be caring. Take an interest in the people who you work with. Commit to learning, get to know people, appreciating, respect people, contribute, add value to people, verbalize, affirm people, lead by influencing people, and succeed winning with people. One success is everyone's success, and I encourage you all to focus on how you might, again, put this into practice as you do lead and as you do mentor. I believe there are at least 10 top attributes of equitable leaders, which I've listed here for you. Be informed, be engaged, be fair, be objective, be vigilant, be optimistic, be welcoming, be thoughtful, be accommodating, and be vocal. Leaders who don't listen will eventually be surrounded by people who have nothing to say. If serving is below you, then leadership is surely beyond you. The scholar who cherishes the love of comfort is not fit to be a deemed scholar. Change means movement, movement means friction, and only in the frictionless vacuum of a non-existent abstract world can movement or change occur without that abrasive friction of conflict. And people who are aware of and ashamed of their prejudice are well on the road to eliminating them. I wish we all could say that yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world, but today I am wise, so I am changing myself. I'll list a couple things quickly I believe that institutions can do to help drive inclusive excellence, and then a few things that individuals can do. I contributed to a paper a while back that talked about the future of graduate and postdoctoral training in the biosciences, and I think this is relevant today because these are ways that you can also increase the diversity of scientists in senior and leadership roles. Begin leader training early for graduate students and postdocs, provide incentives and rewards, just like today, for programs that impact institutional culture, which enhance diversity, equity, and inclusion. Encourage change and review practice for recruitment, hiring, promotion, funding, publications, and awards. Require inclusivity training for all senior administrators, faculty, staff, postdocs, and graduate students. And establish major funding mechanisms to prepare underrepresented postdocs for a transition into successful careers. These are 7 things that departments and PIs can do, and I'll just mention them quickly as well. Provide supplemental mentorship, peer support, require mentor training. Please conduct exit surveys. Provide clear guidelines and timelines as it relates to advancement. The standards and transparency regarding salary and benefits, make those clear, and also provide, again, career and professional development resources. And then specifically during COVID, one thing that senior administrators could do to help their faculty and trainees, which would be everyone on the call, is clarify expectations, increase efficiency, use technology platforms to your advantage, lead by modeling work-life balance. And again, I go back to mental health, providing opportunities there. Many institutions are providing flexibility as it relates to the tenure clock. These are the types of things that matter as the entire world is impacted by COVID. And best practice for individuals. I encourage you to embrace cultural sensitivity. Strive to provide high quality, effective interactions with people from diverse sociocultural backgrounds, and understand why cultural sensitivity is important. Because unexplored or misunderstood sociocultural differences between people can lead to dissatisfaction, poor performance, and outcomes. And demonstrating cultural sensitivity among all individuals is considered an important step toward the elimination of inequities in recruitment, retention, and advancement. And please commit to cultural humility. It requires all of us to continually engage in self-reflection and self-critique as lifelong learners and reflective practitioners. And cultural humility incorporates a lifelong commitment to redressing the inherent power imbalances in relationships and to developing mutually beneficial and non-paternalistic partnerships with others. And it's duly important to understand the significance of the intersection of various identities when we are having these interactions. It's really important that we support advocacy as individuals, as leaders and institutions, and also commit to action. Some of you may know about the nationwide STEM shutdown that took place in June. And this is where people were really trying to draw attention to what was happening in the country and the fact that what happens in the country impacts all of our lives on and off the research bench. So please support advocacy and commit to action. I want to spend the last 2 minutes or so talking about what members of underrepresented groups especially should do as you move forward with this work. Take care of yourself. You heard me mention mental health a few times, and I can't mention it enough, but please take care of yourself. For many members of underrepresented groups who have made it to faculty positions they're in or postdocs, this image can often, for some of us, really explain what our experience has been. They tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds. All of us don't receive the same amount of encouragement from mentors, from faculty, from family and friends that we need. And it's important for a mentor, when you agree to take someone on as your mentee, that you understand who they are, you understand their experience, you understand their dreams, but you should also ask them and get a better understanding about all the obstacles that they've faced to date so that you can help contribute to their success. I encourage people, again, to be mentally strong. I won't go through all 18 of these, but you gotta sort of, again, stay in control. You gotta embrace change. You gotta stay happy. You have to be kind. There are many things here that make a lot of sense, I'm sure, but there are things we often forget to do when we're in the midst of dealing with daily challenges. And lead yourself exceptionally well. This book I recommend for everyone who's here today, The 360-Degree Leader by John Maxwell. You can all get something out of it. But in leading yourself well, you learn how to manage your emotions as well as your time, your priorities, your energy, your thinking, your words, and your personal life. And I want you all to be empowered. Understand your potential, acknowledge your ability, confidently exercise your competence, pursue your ambition, and determine your contribution. I use a lot of images in cartoons because I think it's some of the simplest things that take us back to our earliest understanding and memories of basic concepts. And in Oh, the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss, who again, I believe was a very prolific philosopher, he said, you have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes, you can steer yourself in any direction you choose. You're on your own and you know what you know, and you are the guy or gal who will decide where to go. All of us have a responsibility to pay it forward. No one got where they are without the help of someone else, whether it was a formal mentor or informal mentor, an advisor, or maybe a peer mentor or friend. But all of us should strive to embody what this cartoon says. It says, my mentor's character inspired me, and hopefully I will inspire my mentees. And lastly, simple advice, old advice, follow the golden rule. Treat people the way you would like other people to treat you. And I add a little personal wish as well, choose to be kind. And I think kindness goes a long way. So again, congratulations to all the Excellence in Postdoctoral Scholar Mentoring and Outstanding Postdoc Scholar Award finalists. I couldn't be happier to be here and happier to know that UCSD even does something like this and is committed to it on an annual basis to acknowledge your contributions. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bennett. Those were very important and timely words, and I thoroughly appreciate your integration of a lot of the current issues that are facing us as essentially extensions of our normal professional lives, and how are we to be engaged in our communities, and as researchers, and our roles as mentors and as mentees. Thank you very much for those words. And I don't know if we have any time for questions, but if there are any pressing questions, perhaps they could be put in the Q&A. There was a lot of interest in the material that you presented in the books and the recommendations. So I hope at some point we'll be able to make those available to our audience in order to spread that word that you shared. So thank you very much, and thank you for making the time. I invite everyone now to continue to join us for the awards and introduction of the finalists. So now we're going to recognize the postdoctoral mentors and scholars who best exemplify the highest ideals of research and education, and actually exemplify many of the points and characters of both mentees and mentors that Dr. Bennett just discussed. We'll begin with the Chancellor's Outstanding Postdoctoral Mentor Awards. And I'll just remind everyone that the review committee of nominations is comprised of faculty, staff, and members of the Postdoctoral Association. There was a selection of 5 finalists in each group among all of the outstanding nominations received. And I must say we received a number of very meritorious nominations in this call. These finalists then represent the highest ideals of postdoctoral mentoring at UC San Diego, and I'll introduce each one prior to the announcement of the awardees. So first, I would like to recognize Professor Shu Chen, Professor of Bioengineering. In his nomination, it is noted that he has a long track record of supporting trainees. And I'll quote from his nomination. In 2018, a book was published to celebrate Dr. Chen's 6 decades of outstanding endeavor in research and education. Many trainees wrote articles to express their appreciation of Dr. Chen's research and education and his impact. This book, entitled Shu Chen simply, was edited by Yishuan Li and Leona Flores, and includes tributes from his postdoctoral fellows. And there's a brief summary of the comments by the fellows in that book. Quote, despite his superb accomplishments as a scientist and educator, Dr. Chen is a modest, kind, and generous person, treating his trainees as equals. The trainees feel that Dr. Chen is a wonderful scholar, an excellent mentor, and an inspiring leader, a true gentleman, and a lifetime role model. Dr. Chen taught them by example to be creative, industrious, dedicated, and also generous and thoughtful, enabling them to grow from postdocs to successful independent researchers. And he's into wonderful human beings. So I'd like to invite you to watch a short video featuring his nomination and his own perspective as a mentor.
In advising my postdoctoral scholars, I try to bring out their originality in pursuit of excellence. I help them to formulate well-designed research plan. I encourage them to be mentor for the young scientists, to be their role model so that they can be developed into lifelong friends. To me, this is very precious. In summary, I help my scholars to be valuable members of the field, to the society, and to humanity.
Congratulations, Dr. Chen, on your nomination. I invite the audience to offer personal congratulations to Dr. Chen in the chat, which will be saved along with these proceedings, which we're recording. Next, I'd like to recognize Professor Deirdre Lyons of the Scripps Institute of Oceanography. In her nomination, it was noted that Professor Lyons has a strong sense of community and inequity. I quote from the nomination, Dr. Lyons is also a wonderful model of quality communication. This has made the culture in the lab extremely welcoming. She does not just tell people what to do, but rather creates a dialogue in lab meetings and discussions to help us all succeed in tasks necessary for science, including presentations, grant proposals, and publications. Dr. Lyons' welcoming attitude also extends to her efforts to foster equity in our lab at UCSD and in the scientific community at large. As a faculty member and lead fellow, she knows that one of her responsibilities is to help build an inclusive community culture. She has done this by starting discussions about anti-Black racism and building inclusivity in our research group, developing an outreach collaboration with High Tech High, and by encouraging us to participate in developing lab resources like field lab work plans and rules for equity and support in our laboratory environment. I invite everyone to join me in watching a short video featuring her nomination in her own words.
I would describe my mentoring philosophy and style as one of seeing postdocs as collaborators and colleagues. I think it's really important during your postdoc to decide who you are as a researcher so that when you go on the job market and go up for tenure yourself, you can demonstrate that you have an independent and exciting research program. And I see the postdoc era as the time when you start developing that, and I see it as my job of creating the environment for postdocs to become independent. The advice that I'd give to postdocs going on the job market is to look for a job that is a great fit for your interests and will support you when you get there. So don't leave your publications to the last minute. You want to be able to apply for jobs multiple years so that that perfect job is ready for you when your CV is ready, and you don't need a cell nature science paper necessary to get a job. So make sure that you're ready to apply multiple times and broadly.
And congratulations on your nomination, Dr. Lyons. And again, I invite everyone to offer congratulations or personal remarks in the chat. Next, I'd like to present our next finalist, Professor Shirley Meng of the Department of Nanoengineering. Professor Meng's nomination highlights her dedication to professional development. And I quote from her nomination. Dr. Meng is not only a world-renowned material scientist, her major achievement is also represented in the high quality of her mentorship for students and postdocs. She has graduated 25 PhD students, 11 master's students, and mentored 17 postdoctoral researchers. Almost all of them became rising leaders in top materials research institutions or industrial labs. Among them, 5 have become faculty members in top research universities in the United States, India, China, and Japan. Over the past 10 years, more than 30 undergraduate students have worked in her group full-time during the summer quarters. And among these undergraduate students, more than a third have moved on to PhD studies. Join me in viewing a video sharing her perspective as a mentor in her own words.
So my mentoring style, you can call it the tough mother style, but being tough doesn't mean that I'm not nice to the students. It's just that I would like them to hit all these criteria before they become independent researchers or independent engineers. For my postdocs who are going for academic career, I think one of the most important advices I gave to them is the graduate students are the reflection of ourselves. So it's very important to identify their strengths and the weaknesses and work on their weaknesses earlier. So when they graduate, they will actually improve a lot. For my students and the postdocs who are going for industry or startups, entrepreneur styles, always under-promise and over-deliver. Do not do the opposite.
Congratulations, Professor Meng, on your nomination. Next, and I invite you also to please offer personalized congratulations in the chat. Next, I'd like to introduce our next nominee, Professor Padmini Raghmanani of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering. Her nomination highlights her emphasis in intellectual freedom and exploration, and I quote from her nomination. The Raghmanani Lab is an intellectual playground which facilitates the incubation of creative research directions. The high quality of Dr. Raghmanani's research program is evidenced by the many prestigious awards she has earned, including Young Investigator Awards from Navy, Army, and Air Force, Sloan Research Fellowships, etc. In spite of her major accomplishments, she continues to remind us weekly that we must remain humble and focused on our mission to advance science. She encourages us to regularly read and explore new research directions. All of us have opportunity to bring ideas to the table, and resources are often allocated to explore promising ideas proposed by members of the lab. Please join me in viewing a short video featuring her perspective on mentoring.
My mentoring style is one that I believe caters to the needs of the individual as opposed to a one-size-fits-all approach. And the reason for this is quite simple. Each individual has different career goals, and so I think having conversations on a regular basis, talking about where they want to be in 5 years from now and how to get there is a very important part of my mentoring style. As a postdoc, you may have career options that you may not have thought of as viable before, and opportunities that you may not have looked at before. So my advice to future postdocs is to consider planning your career fairly early on as opposed to waiting at the end of your training stage. This will allow you to have much more control of where you want to be.
Congratulations, Professor Raghmanani, on your nomination. Finally, please, I'd like to introduce Dr. Jean Yeo of Cellular and Molecular Medicine. Professor Yeo's nomination highlights his sensitivity to the challenges faced by postdocs in balancing their training with other important aspects of life. And I quote from his nomination, "Jean has always understood and respected the challenges that lab members with families face. He's very helpful and accommodating when my daughter was born, and now during COVID-19 times, he has made it very clear that he is aware of the difficulties and challenges of working from home and taking care of children. He has encouraged us and given us opportunities to delegate work and ask for help all along the way. This is just one of many examples that highlight Jean's genuine commitment to our well-being and healthy personal lives." Please join me in watching a short video highlighting Dr. Yeo's perspective on mentoring.
I would describe my mentoring style as providing a lot of freedom both intellectually and financially to my trainees. I'm very interested in providing them an environment where they can take risks and at the same time providing them a safety net or bumpers to protect them when they make severe mistakes. But I think having the ability to provide a very strong risk-taking environment is helpful for the trainees to learn how to make mistakes. My advice to postdocs as they make the next move is to lead by example, be grateful to their mentees and their mentors that get them from point A to point B, and think about others before self.
So congratulations, Professor Yo, on your nomination, and I encourage all of you to add your sentiments and thoughts of congratulations to him in the chat. And so these 5 nominees, as you see, exemplify many important aspects of mentoring that were mentioned in the discussion by Dr. Bennett and that we value here on the San Diego campus. And all of them are highly deserving of these awards, but the committee was tasked with choosing 2. And so now we will present the 2 award winners of our 5 finalists. And so congratulations to Drs. Chen and Lyons for your recognition as the 2020 Excellence in Postdoctoral Mentor awardees. But again, I want to emphasize that all 5 of our finalists were amazing representatives of the best of the UC San Diego research and teaching mission. And on behalf of the program and on behalf of all of those who nominated and considered the awards, we thank you very much for your service. And now we'll move on to the postdoctoral awards. So for the 2020 Chancellor's Award for Outstanding Postdoctoral Scholars, we also have 5 finalists. As mentioned, these are also exemplars of the outstanding scholars that the campus has, and we had many outstanding nominations for this recognition. I want to emphasize that all of these scholars represent the best of the institution and are worthy models and outstanding examples of not only a research career in the making, but also of strong community members that are thoughtful about those and around them and participate fully in the academic experience at UCSD. So these 5 dedicated researchers bring a unique combination of energy and innovation to their chosen work and have, as I mentioned, the respect and admiration of their mentors and colleagues. In addition to their own scientific community, they're devoted to making an impact on the broader community through their service. So first, it's my privilege to introduce Dr. Isaac Heim, a postdoctoral scholar in the Department of Cellular and Molecular Medicine. Dr. Heim's nomination highlights his dedication to teaching and research while engaged in substantial mentoring. And I quote from his nomination: Alex has taken the opportunity to collaborate with numerous teams in the lab on various projects and is actively mentoring graduate students and technicians to see these projects to fruition. He's mentored a number of rotation students as well as summer undergraduate research trainees from local and national community colleges. Overall, Alex has also embraced the opportunities to guest lecture at its minority serving partner institute in the ERACTA program, San Diego State. As an example of his commitment to making science more inclusive, he is part of the advisory board for the SDSU CERM Stem Cell Internship Program, which seeks to match SDSU students with other research institutions to perform state-of-the-art stem cell research. And finally, he's just completed a full year as instructor of record for a journal club-based introduction to stem cell biology for SDSU. He fully designed the course and incorporated active learning, inclusive pedagogy, and varied assessment techniques into the curriculum. Join me in watching a video to hear, in his own words, Dr. Heim's perspective as a postdoctoral scholar on campus.
The advice I would give to first-year postdocs is to get organized, to really pick the projects you want to work on and how much time you want to spend on them. If you love science the way I do and most of us scientists do, you'll get so many cool ideas to work on, and it's going to be very hard to pick which ones you really want to focus on. So learn how to say no. What I enjoy the most about being a postdoc is two things, actually. One is the lab I'm part of. The Yale Lab is this incredible culture where everyone gets to do incredible science and collaborate. So the breadth of science that I'm part of is just something that I had never experienced before, and that I hope will stay that way for the rest of my academic career. The other thing that I enjoy the most about being a postdoc is being part of the IRACDA fellowship program. We are a family of people that are trying to change some things in academia, represent minorities better, serve as an example to many others, so that they see that science is a way of living and it can also be a way of living for them.
Congratulations to Dr. Chaim, and please offer him congratulations and personalized remarks in the chat. Next, I introduce Dr. Tristan Duran of Scripps Institute of Oceanography. Dr. Duran's nomination highlights his dedication to mentoring and teaching, and I quote from his nomination. What differentiates Tristan from all of the other 46 postdocs that I have hosted in my 20 years as a PI is his passion for mentoring and teaching. This past academic year, he mentored 4 undergraduates and 2 PhD students. 3 just graduated with their BS degrees. One was the 2020 Revelle College commencement speaker and is headed for Stanford to graduate school. She credits Tristan for her achievements. During the spring quarter, when we abruptly closed the labs due to the pandemic, Tristan quickly pivoted to make sure all his undergraduate mentees were still engaged and cared for, especially the 3 graduating seniors. They all stayed connected, continued to digest the literature together, and learn new bioinformatic computer tools. He made a bummer of a quarter special for them. Join me in viewing a short video featuring Tristan's experience and perspectives in his own words.
The best part about being a postdoc is mentoring students, both undergrads and grad students. I love taking them on, giving them their own little projects, seeing them develop their interest and grow as a scientist, learn how to present that work, and seeing them go up and do even better things afterwards. If I were to give some advice to new postdocs, I would advise new postdocs to not be afraid to take on students themselves. You get to influence the next generation of scientists as well as learn how to be a better mentor yourself. I hope to continue to inspire the next generation of scientists as either an academic or government scientist myself.
Dr. Ron, congratulations on your nomination, and please offer your congratulations in the chat. The third nominee is Dr. Kathleen Prosser of Chemistry and Biochemistry. Dr. Prosser's nomination highlights her leadership skills, and I quote from the nomination. Dr. Prosser's research and outreach accomplishments are simply outstanding by any metric. Shortly after her arrival, I started a position as program manager at DARPA. Dr. Prosser stepped up to become the group leader on the ground. She did this without being asked or instructed to do so, but simply because she was capable of doing it and understood the importance of these roles in the laboratory. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, Dr. Prosser further elevated her role in my laboratory, spearheading efforts to safely and efficiently close the laboratory down. To maintain group interactions, she set up Microsoft Teams for our group to communicate and share information. She established a schedule for regular team tag-ups and sustain scientific dialogue. Dr. Prosser's efforts and actions during this time reflect not only leadership, but great compassion and maturity that put her in a class of her own. I will always be very grateful for the initiative, poise, and leadership she showed during this time in our group. Join me in viewing a short video then in recognizing Dr. Prosser's own words, her role as a postdoctoral scholar on campus.
One of the aspects that I really enjoy about being a postdoc is the opportunity to work with people from different disciplines. So I've been able to work within my own area of expertise and to pursue my own scientific ideas. But I've also been able to work with graduate students and other postdocs who have very different expertise from my own. I would advise first year and incoming postdocs to really keep an open mind and definitely look for opportunities to learn from everyone around you and not just those that you consider to be experts in their field. What I hope to achieve in the future is to continue to communicate science by continuing to learn and to share what I've learned with those around me.
Congratulations, Dr. Prosser. And I invite everyone to offer congratulations personalized in the chat. Our next finalist is Dr. Danielle Schmidt of Pharmacology. Dr. Schmidt's nomination highlights her leadership and community building skills. And I quote from her nomination: Danielle is highly motivated and has a passion for tackling emerging problems with interdisciplinary approaches. Danielle has taken an unprecedented leadership role in promoting interactions and collaborations within the lab. She organizes a cellular biophysics journal club for people in the lab and discusses exciting new findings in the field, practice critical reading, and enhance presentation skills. She took the initiative to organize trivia nights to enhance interactions between lab members and to help others in the lab. Danielle organized fellowship writing workshops, provide consulting and edited fellowship applications for a number of people in the lab, and organized numerous lab events and multi-lab joint meetings and demonstrated her outstanding organizational skills. Danielle is a leader outside the lab and very active in promoting science and diversity within our communities. She's co-coordinator of the San Diego affiliate of 500 Women Scientists. Working with them, she organized letter writing campaigns to support legislation combating sexual harassment in science. She's met with Representative Scott Peters to advocate for increased NIH funding and encouraged other scientists to vote in elections. She's also organized meetings for local women scientists, such as happy hours and beach days, to provide allow low pressure environmental environments to meet women with similar interests and develop professional and personal networks. Please join me in viewing a video describing her work in her own words.
What I really enjoy most about being a postdoc is that I get to lead and guide projects based on my own personal interests. And I also really enjoy working with the undergraduates and graduate students and guiding them and mentoring them through their scientific journey. To new postdocs, the advice that I would give is to find really great mentors outside of your primary research advisor. Find people who are really invested in you and will guide you throughout your career, and to also be really organized because it helps out in the long term. In the future, I hope to be able to contribute to increasing the diversity and inclusivity of science and making science a place where anyone is welcome and not just people who look or behave a certain way, but anyone can be successful and a great scientist.
Congratulations, Dr. Schmidt, in your nomination and recognition as a finalist for the Outstanding Postdoctoral Scholar Award. Our next nominee is Dr. Christopher Thiessen of the Center of Astrophysics and Space Sciences. Dr. Thiessen's nomination highlights his mentorship activities. I quote from his nomination: Chris is also an incredible mentor. He volunteered to manage my group for 6 months in 2018 when I was on maternity leave. Later that year, I asked Chris if he wanted to mentor a summer undergraduate student from the STARS program, and he took on not one, but 2 students. One of those continued to work with him through graduation from Cal State LA. That student will be attending Princeton in the fall and is finalizing a publication with Chris. In 2018, Chris attended the Institute for Science and Engineer Educators professional development program and helped develop an inquiry-based short course for all the summer students at CAS. Chris has also worked extensively with all the graduate students in my group and in Adam Burgasser's group in a mentorship capacity. I really cannot say enough about how good Chris is as a leader and a mentor of students. I haven't witnessed any young postdocs who possess his level of maturity and his ability to successfully guide undergraduate and graduate students to project completion. Join me in viewing his video where we hear in his own words his experience as a postdoctoral scholar.
being a postdoc, I love the idea the most that I'm free to explore some of my other scientific ideas. It's really choose your own adventure. You can do a lot of mentorship. You can start teaching depending on what career path you want to take after this. I just love that I can pick and choose what I want to do and do the things that I really enjoy doing. To first-year postdocs, more than anything, I would just say don't be afraid of your own ideas, because your ideas are really good too, especially the independent ones you have. In the future, I would love to be a faculty member. If I was able to be a faculty member here, that would be extremely humbling, because UC San Diego has some of the best faculty in the world across various different fields of study. So that is really my ultimate goal, and I'm just going to keep working hard to try and get there.
Congratulations, Dr. Thiessen, on your nomination and recognition as a finalist. So as you see, we have 5 amazing finalists and that are representative of a greater pool of amazing postdoctoral scholars that really represent the future of science, not only here at San Diego, but also nationally. We're very proud to have these people with us, and we recognize both their hard work and their contributions to the San Diego community. It's now time to announce the awardees, and so we'll go ahead and find out who are the final awardees. Congratulations, both Dr. Chaim and Thiessen. You can see it's a very difficult choice for the committee to come up with recognizing the 2 awardees, and all of the finalists are really amazing scholars, and we thank you for your presence and gifts to the campus through your research and service. So that's the recognition of our awards. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for recognizing the accomplishments of these amazing postdoctoral scholars on campus. To all the postdocs, I want to personally recognize all of your contributions, your nominees, all the nominees, finalists, your colleagues. There are so many of you on campus. There are many to recognize. So I encourage you to continue to promote your colleagues and to recognize them through these nominations, and also to recognize your mentors, and also for mentors and faculty to continue to recognize and honor the best postdoctoral mentors on campus. I'd like to thank our guest speakers today. Dr. Jabbar Bennett, thank you for your very wise words, integrating both the current topics we deal with in academia and society and abroad, and how it integrates with our own professional development. And I'd like to thank Vice Chancellor Sandra Brown for joining us and offering words on behalf of the campus. Most importantly, I'd like to recognize Heather Dillon of OPRSA, who has put together this exciting program and manages much of the professional development activities on campus, together with Jen Burke, who heads the Office of Postdoctoral Research and Office of Postdoctoral Research Scholar Administration, Corey Davis, and Jenny Solomon, who also tend to your needs in many different ways. And I thank you, James Eastloss and Atheos Production, for putting together the videos and getting this ready so that we can continue our tradition of recognizing outstanding scholars in this online format. So thank you all. I'd like to invite you to join us next year for our next awards, which hopefully will be live. But if not, continue the grand work that you all do. Call in our office whenever we can be of help, and we look forward to seeing you on campus in future. Thanks again, everybody. Congratulations to you all.